Welcome to the Walker Report Sports Show with your host, Bradley Walker from Tampa, Florida, and co-host Adam Mangold from Cleveland, Tennessee. Come get the report straight from the team that knows sports. The report we make, the report you trust. The call-in number is 512-543-4662. And be sure to download the Try99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support. Now let's get into the Walker Report.
What is up, guys? It is the Sportster Bradley Walker, and welcome to the Walker Report, part of In the Zone Sports Talk Radio, part of NGSC Sports, guys. Remember the website, it's ngscsports.com for all your current sports content. Welcome in, guys. Proud to be here on Roku TV. Happy to be here with that. We have two sponsors on the show. My first sponsor is creatingzenspaces.com. It is the local choice in St. Petersburg, Florida, for house cleaning, organization, decluttering, and pet sitting. It's about finding the peace within you, adding comfort to your life. And remember, guys, Zen Spaces begins with you. Be kind to yourself and one another. We are also sponsored by Garrett's Carrots. Illuminate your inner self, shatter the trendy norms, and open up your world to a newfound level of confidence and admiration. Garrett's Carrots, designer jewelry and luxury accessories at garrettscarrots.com. What is up, guys? This is a new StreamYard. This is not my personal StreamYard. I don't know. There we go. Got somebody here. Lou?
Yep, I'm here. Made it.
Lou, good evening.
Good evening. I made it.
Yeah, how you doing? How's it going, man?
All right.
I got a message from Adam. I guess he's going to be on in between like 8:15 and 8:30. So
Okay.
we can talk some topics that he's not really into. We can start it if you want with the WNBA.
All right.
There's some stories there. First of all, Breanna Stewart's a free agent. Is she not going to come back to Seattle?
No, I wouldn't count that. I think she's gonna come back to Seattle. I mean, she's been a legend there, and I think Seattle will do anything they can to keep her.
Okay.
Of course, just my opinion. I don't
I
get my word for it still.
No. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. It's kind of like watching a player, say like, a Hall of Famer that's been on the same team, and then all of a sudden, oh, no, I'm going to change teams. It would be weird to see her in a different uniform since Seattle drafted her. She came out of UConn. So yeah, and I also saw Lou. Maya Moore is retiring. She's stepping away from basketball. To be with her, the guy that I guess she
freed to get out of a 50-year jail sentence, and she married him.
There we go.
Yeah. So that's the case. So and of course that's another legend right there.
Correct.
But she's also for the right reasons. I mean, she's a four-time MVP. She's won 4 titles, 2 gold medals, 2 college, and whatever else, against humans versus aliens or whatnot. She's done it all.
Yes, correct. Okay. And what is it? There's a big trade going on for Jacquel Jones, the MVP, being traded from the Sun to the Liberty. Did you hear about that?
I did not hear.
That's from Yahoo Sports. That was saw that earlier today. So
yeah, but Yahoo.
Cheryl, good evening, sir.
I go to ESPN for my sites, for my sources, not Yahoo.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's like
who is it that you don't trust? Is there one website that you don't really like, that you don't trust?
there's a few out there. I mean, Yahoo, try to be as they may, doesn't stack up to ESPN or CBS. You know, Yahoo, or there's another one. What's that one I used to do? That Eric
Bleacher
used to
Report?
do. That's it, Bleacher Report. What a
There's only two
Bleacher Report.
websites I use, well, three websites that I use for my sports news. That's NFL, ESPN, and the Score.
Oh yeah, the Score. Right.
Fair enough.
Isn't that from Canada though?
Well, it's based out of Canada, but they do have people down here in America that covers the
Okay.
sports down here.
Yeah, because I think that's based in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they cover American sports for Canada.
Okay.
But they still give out good reports.
Right.
You know, because I have never got a
I
bad.
get a what?
I've never gotten any bad news. I mean, a bad report from the Score.
I wonder what happened to Sports Illustrated. They used to be better.
Yeah, they're not one of the big ones anymore. They used to be.
No. That's from Gerald and my youth. So you know.
And Mr. Brad, I need your picks for the division round playoffs too.
Come on.
Fire away, my man.
Okay, let me find them.
Shoot on air just like we did last week, because obviously I didn't get the Bucks game right. So
Hey, what happened?
I knew there was going to be some I was going to get wrong.
What happened to your Bucks, man?
I'm not a Bucks fan, so
Right.
I love it.
My team didn't even make the playoffs, so it's okay.
I thought you were a Bucks fan.
That's my NFC team, and that's my home team. I'm from Tampa Bay.
Okay.
By the way, guys, the intro and outro also needs to include Lou. I'm going to have him work on that because, that he's Lou's on here as well. So just mentions me and Adam. So.
Okay.
So,
well,
if you want to, you can have me put it in there
and
too.
Gerald too.
Don't matter.
And Gerald
Right.
too, because the four of you guys or three of you are on here. So I may have Kevin get that revamped. So.
Okay, Brad.
Okay.
First game is the Jags and Chiefs.
Kansas City.
Ooh, I
The
think
Cinderella
everybody- Giants and Eagles.
Philly. It's going to be close, though. I think the Giants are going to give them
it
fits.
is. It is.
Yeah, I think the Giants will give them fits.
Bengals and Bills.
I'm taking Cincinnati. I think they're out for vengeance. They're out to get back. And Buffalo had trouble with the Dolphins and have a lot of trouble against Cincinnati this week.
Okay.
Cowboys and 49ers. Now, before you make this pick, remember how they played against the Buccaneers. If Dallas comes out this great against the 49ers, they could beat the 49ers.
San Francisco. Can that defense stop Brock Purdy?
And also, another thing, too, can they stop Christian McCaffrey?
And that, too. And Deebo Samuel and that offense that San Francisco has. So, yeah, I'll take the 49ers.
Hopefully you do better this week. Because last week you did pretty good, but it's come down to the wire.
Yeah.
So that's the WNBA. Lou, is there anything in the NBA right now? I mean, they're mid-season, right? They're getting ready for their trade deadline. Isn't that what's coming up for they're about midway through?
After the All-Star game.
Anybody surprising you so far this year as far as losing or winning?
Yeah, Grizzlies and the
Memphis.
Pelicans. The Memphis is on a roll. 11 wins straight.
Didn't John Moran have a tip in last night for a win?
Yep.
Did I hear that I heard that on the radio this morning. Okay.
That's true. I mean, Memphis is really a bad team, but they haven't been this good in a while. And the Pelicans, finally, Zion, is showing, how good he was back when he was in college, whatnot. So, one of the Ball brothers, who has been, of course, like a comedy of errors. I mean, he's finally starting to grow up. So these have been the two big surprises, in the year so far. Knicks, okay, mediocrity at best, but not terrible. Nets are doing well. You got the Celtics, of course, and of course the big disappointment is, of course, once again the Lakers. Just 2 years removed from a championship, and you got this. Ugh. 3 years. Excuse me, 3 years.
Yeah, because they won the chain of the bucket in the 2020 season. 3 years ago, yeah. They won it the bubble because that was in Orlando at Walt Disney World. Okay.
Right.
Brad,
they were there.
You look pretty good on TV because I'm sitting here watching it on StreamYard, and I also got it on my TV.
Cool.
I'm just making sure.
I'm wearing my Valspar championship hat. Yeah, I'm wearing my golf hat. I'm hoping maybe I'll be covering the tournament this year from the media perspective. So we'll see.
Which one?
The Valspar, Palmer, and the Players' Championship. That would be great if I could get to the Players'
the fifth major. The fifth major. My dream, obviously, would be Augusta. Going to the Masters. I was going to say that.
A dream in heaven.
Yes.
To go to Augusta and cover it as
the U.S. Open
media person. Where is the U.S. Open this year? I don't even know where the U.S. Open is this year.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Or as I call it, the Father's Day Classic.
That's the third major. That's the third major of the year this time around.
Used to be
because the PGA. Yes, sir.
I don't know if you heard this or not, but can we have a moment of silence for Jay Briscoe?
Yes, I read the article last night. Actually, Gerald, we'll do it. I was watching a YouTube clip last night of all the wrestlers that wrote in about him. Real quick, guys, before we do the moment of silence, head over to YouTube and type in Jay Briscoe and look at the video that was made by all the WWE stars that were his peers. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, before we do this. He died in a car accident, right? Is that what happened?
Yes. It was him and two other people.
I think that's what I read. Okay. But yes, let's take a moment of silence. That's fine. Might be becoming a routine on my show. We took a moment of silence for DeMar, and now we're doing one. So we will do a show, guys. If that's the case, and we do have a superstar, no matter what sport they're in or what they do, or he or she passes away, we'll do a moment of silence on here for their families and stuff like that. So that's definite.
And I did send.
Lou, it looks like
my thoughts and prayers from the Game Winning Sports Show to his family.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Thoughts and prayers from the Walker Report also to his family. I guess from what I haven't read too much into it, but he was very liked by everybody. Like didn't see one bad comment about him by anybody that worked with him. Was in the ring with him, whatever it might be. He was very well liked in the WWE from what I read.
He was a true country boy.
I'll bet.
He was a chicken farmer.
Oh.
Where's he from, Joe, originally?
Sandy Fork, Delaware.
Oh wow. Okay. Joe Biden state. Okay.
That's right.
President Biden is from Delaware. Okay.
If you did not watch ROH or Impact Wrestling, go back and watch some of the old matches of him and his brother. They were the best tag team in ROH.
Ring of Honor. Okay.
Yeah, Ring of Honor.
Oh, Ring of Honor, right?
Definitely
And
will.
every
Ring
time
of
you
Honor.
heard
Yeah.
every time you heard this entry music, you knew it was them. Reach for the sky, boys. You knew you were about to be entertained.
And then he will be missed. And the WWE, because we could talk about that too. We talk here all the time.
Yeah.
It's the company's still up in the air. They haven't made up their mind if they want to sell it or keep it. I've heard Vince McMahon say he might keep it, or they're gonna, I don't know who he's gonna sell it to. There's been 4 or 5 people that
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia is that's one of them. But I think Gerald mentioned last week that the Khan from hey Adam from AEW is interested also too of buying. Yeah, of buying it as well.
They want to buy it. But now, here is something that I've been thinking about. Okay, let's say if the Khans do buy it, they already own AEW, they already own ROH, and if they buy WWE, what's it going to be? Just one big wrestling promotion?
Well, that's kind of what happened when Vince McMahon bought WCW. Same thing. I mean, he took 2 and made it into 1. And I see he would, and then also too, Gerald too, he get NXT as well. So you would have NXT and ROH too, as if you want to call those developmental things. You could say that too. Developmental wrestling.
How would that
does
work?
go that route? Yeah. Good question. That's a very, very, very good question. Yeah, I don't know. That's a question that.
What are you doing to me?
I'm right. Yeah, you can kick that other one of me.
Is Adam up here twice?
He got cloned.
Yeah, I opened up in 2 different browsers. Sorry about that.
Stop calling was illegal here in the States.
There we go.
Live TV, nothing goes according to plan on your first time out.
Or so
That's
No,
what-
this is the first time. This is
That's what,
all the kinks will be worked out in the next couple weeks. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Guys, I'm sorry. There won't be a show next week. I have a family thing I got to take care of next Thursday.
Okay.
There won't be a show next week. But
I live in Texas,
Yeah.
so that should be the West Coast, right? I wouldn't set it up on the East Coast.
Wait, why didn't he set up for one for Central Time?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Jared, are you the only one that's in the Central Time Zone on the
Uh,
network, or is there
me and,
other shows that are in Central Time?
There's one more, James, that does the Inner Circle Porter Sports Show.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay,
When is that? Tuesday?
I do like all the features that I can use now on Kevin's StreamYard. The logo, all the friggin' intro and outros are up here at my disposal. So
And
That's
if
true.
you don't like somebody, you can easily boot them.
yeah, well, here's the thing. I talked to Kevin today. Next week we'll try to get callers in because I haven't taken a call, and Adam can tell you the last time I tried to take a call, what the heck happened. It wasn't very pretty. So
No.
I'm hoping it.
He was there.
My dog pad's not working on my end at all. Because every time I try to pull it up, it says restricted access.
Mm.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to try to figure out something to do with this or something.
Gotcha.
But guys, I'll be right back. I got to make a quick phone call, so I'll be right back.
We'll be right here.
Lou, the U.S. Open is at the Country Club in Los Angeles, California this year in June. That's the third major of the year. So it's in L.A. It's in Los Angeles.
Good place to play.
Well, I'd have to catch a plane for that. Well, I have to catch a plane to Augusta too. So
correct.
Jetpack in the shop.
No, I don't have to catch a plane from where you are
Yeah.
to Atlanta.
You know, I think it's easier to just buy a plane ticket.
I could drive to Augusta, but I don't want to do that. I don't like. I'd rather fly and be in Atlanta in an hour and a half than drive
I get it.
for 8 or 9 hours to get to Augusta. I don't want
That's-
to be part of the problem.
You're right.
Yeah, that's why we're. Oh, sorry, I'm taking my boots off. I just got home. That's why you're not flying to Chattanooga or driving to Chattanooga.
Correct.
Because that's like a 12-hour drive or 10-hour drive. It's ridiculous.
Right. No, thank you.
Not if you don't have to. Like, I understand if you're like moving stuff, like if you're packing up your stuff and moving, then okay, fine. But no, not if I don't have to. Not if I don't have to.
Speaking of golf, I've got one golf article. The Live 2 streaming deal with the CW network.
Interesting.
So that means they finally got a American
a major American
TV
television deal.
done.
Huh?
So now
The CW.
again, that's not that's not Fox or CBS. That's not Fox or CBS.
Gotta start somewhere, though.
It is a way for them. Exactly. It's a way for them. I agree with Adam. I think Live is good for golf. A lot of people will disagree with that because, they're taking all the talent away. I think what it is, it makes it more money for the PGA Tour to step up and finally pay the guys.
It's competition, right?
Yeah,
it forces the PGA to compete with Live to create competitive golf.
Correct.
It forces them to have to increase purse sizes and to compete with the biggest stars, right? It's like before, as 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, before Live became a thing, the PGA had a stranglehold on golf, right? So if you were a collegiate golfer, if you're a major collegiate golfer, if you went to like Stanford or a golf school, and Stanford was the first one that came to my mind in terms of being a golf school.
Good one. Good one. It's a good one.
Florida, really not a
Texas
big
A&M.
A&M, right.
Yep.
And you wanted to play professional golf, it was either PGA or the PGA. And so without the competition, now that we have Live on the scene and we have competition, it's sparked competition where now the PGA has to provide better both accommodations and purses and benefits that it can attract top tier young golf talent. You have more opportunities, more options as an up and coming young golf prospect. You look at somebody that's been on the tour for 10 years and grinding, absolutely grinding, living paycheck to paycheck, living tournament to tournament. Well, now Live's coming along with huge, you're looking at 50th and, you place 50th and you're making you're making $420,000. Well, that's no longer, you're going from grinding to thriving,
Right.
And it forces the PGA to have.
Thing, at the end of the day. Yeah, but I mean, even the last place player gets, I think you, like you said, I think they get like $500,000 or something like that for finishing last in a Live Tour event, and they don't have to play 3 days on top of that.
Yeah,
you don't play 4 days like you do on the PGA Tour. So there you go.
Which we'll see how that goes in the next couple of years. If they need, and that allows the Live Tour flexibility. They may have a couple, let's say Live comes up with a couple of majors here in 2025. Let's say they want to expand, and so instead of having all of your, you have most of your non-majors being 3-day events, and then you can have some special 4-day tournament, events. Your big, kind of if you will, a playoff game, a playoff game where these rounds mean more, and so okay, so your regular season is going to be 3-day events, but your playoffs are 4-day events that you give your roster a little bit more flexibility, you know where you don't have to be there until Friday. You don't have an extra, you don't have or you can get in on Thursday instead of having to get a hotel for Wednesday through Sunday or Wednesday through Saturday. You don't you get in Thursday and you check out on Sunday morning, or you can get in, if it's local, you can get in on a Friday. You get up and just go to the course on Friday. You don't have an extra day of travel, an extra day, of crummy hotels, the Motel 3 where they turn the light on you.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Masters has already announced that they are allowing Live Tour players to play. So they will be there.
Right.
So Phil Mickelson, all those players that are on Live will get to play in the Masters. And Phil's won multiple times. He's got multiple green jackets. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping maybe I get lucky and I end up getting credentials to be a media member at the Masters. That would make my podcast or my writing career. I think if I was invited to something like that. So.
Well, I think about the card IndyCar split in the late '90s, and this is incredibly. I think that a lot of people are afraid of. A lot of people remember the card IndyCar split of the late '90s, early 2000s, where CART still had the rights to the Indy 500, and so the CART the only ones that were allowed to compete at the Indy 500 in 2000, I think it was. And don't correct me if I'm wrong. It may have been later than that, but pretty sure it was 2000. As only CART cars were allowed to compete at the Indy 500, and so you had some top tier stars that weren't, like Michael Andretti, just raced at Michigan instead of at Indy, and I think I think that a lot of people are afraid of, a brand split, and then this is different than a brand split. You have the PGA, and I don't know about I don't have access to the financials for the PGA. I don't know how good they were doing. I don't know how competitive they were, and golf is, again, we look at the late '90s, early 2000s when there were the .com boom, and everybody and his uncle was playing golf.
Yeah,
and golf was hugely popular. Where the Masters could pull 17 million viewers, and if Tiger was wearing the red shirt on Sunday morning, look out, because it was all over. That when Tiger and no one, they, again, it's kind of like we've talked about this before about what makes the NFL so successful is they always develop new stars, and they develop all their positions too very well, and turn them, whether you're a fan of offensive football or defensive football, or you're a fan of one team or another team, or you're just a fan of football in general. We look at the crop of new stars coming in. None of the AFC quarterbacks are over 30. They're all under 30, and they're going to be around for another decade. And people complain about them pushing Patrick Mahomes. This is something they were complaining about a couple of years ago. It's like they were pushing Patrick Mahomes too soon. And it's like, but Patrick Mahomes is the future. And that's what the NFL has always done. They've always pushed the future. And whether it was Bradshaw and Staubach in the 70s, or Montana and 80s are not coming to me right now. Or and Elway in the 80s, and then in the 90s it was Favre and Aikman. As Montana and Elway were aging out, we got Favre and Aikman were front and center. And then in the 2000s you had Brady and Manning and now in the 20 teens, and then now Brady and Manning held on for quite a while. But now we have a new crop of young stars that the NFL is promoting. And you look at the other major sports, and they don't do that. They don't promote the rest of the league. You have small market teams like Jacksonville. I know Jacksonville isn't exactly a small market, but lesser franchises like Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is a hot young prospect, and you look at you look at the other leagues like baseball and the NHL. When the steroid era finally came to an end in baseball, there were no young stars coming up that could pick up and run with it. In the NHL, when Gretzky retired, they didn't have anyone. They didn't develop any other stars that could carry the league. And you look at golf, and when Tiger went away, there was no one that could pick up and carry the league. When Tiger got, and I'm talking about being the face of golf for non-golf fans, for the casual guy that turns on the Masters or turns on the FedEx Cup or turns on the U.S. Open, the casual golf fan that only watches on Sunday, that doesn't give two shits about Thursday through Saturday.
Yeah.
There was no star. And if you're not a baseball guy, if you're not a hockey guy, the random Tuesday in September or December, if you're not a dedicated, but what the NFL has done and made the NFL the juggernaut that it is that you can go to a casual sports fan, the guy that only watches 3 games a year. They watch the first game, they watch the championship games, and they watch the Super Bowl, and they can tell you half a dozen stars in the NFL. They knew who the top stars are. And when you look at the other, you look at the PGA doesn't have any outside of Tiger, they have no stars.
Actually, all the stars, most of the stars have gone to live.
And yet the problem is the PGA didn't develop anybody outside of Tiger because we got Tiger, we don't need anyone else.
Charlie. His son.
Well, and like the Rory McIlroys, they didn't transcend sport like the way that Tiger did.
True.
And when golf was scrambling, when Tiger got hurt in 2009, and golf was scrambling to figure out who they were gonna, and then now they didn't develop anybody. They think, well, we got Tiger. What else do we need?
Well, and that's true, but I'll say this too. I know when they have the tournaments, and it doesn't matter what tournament it is, whether it's the Valspar that's on my hat or it's any of the majors. The eyes on the tournament is not as much as when Tiger's there. So yes, they haven't developed any talent, and the talent that they have developed aren't always fan friendly. Tiger. I've heard Tiger, when he's on the golf course, obviously, again, golf's an individual sport. So you want to stay as focused as you possibly can. He didn't really interact with the fans, but he would after he was done. He would sign autographs, stuff like that. A lot of the what they call tour stars now are not as friendly. I mean,
marketable.
Brooks Koepka is not the most friendliest guy. Bryson DeChambeau is... I'm not even going to go there.
They can't stand each other.
Can't say it on the air, and they can't stand each other. I can't say it on the air. But I mean, Jordan Spieth is, unless you have watched golf, you wouldn't even know who he was. You wouldn't know who he was. You wouldn't know who Justin Thomas is either. But I do because I'm a golf fan, and I, will have to write about golf.
Too.
Things.
But you guys are golf fans, right? And I'm not talking about fans of golf. I'm talking about casual sports fans. The guys that watch the NBA, the guys that watch the NBA and the NFL, they don't care about golf. They have no interest in golf. But when Tiger was on, they'd flip over and watch, a round of golf. And they didn't develop any stars they could pick the mantle up and run with it. Because when Tiger got hurt, he was only like 30. This was 15 years ago. Now he was 28, 29. He wasn't even, he was still in his prime. And, and it's like, it's that you don't know what you've got until it's gone. the golf had, and then it's the same thing with it. We can talk about golf, we can talk about NASCAR, we can talk about WWE, we can talk about all these other sports that were hugely popular. And we also have to talk about there's two things that really come to the crux of the issue here, is that when the dot-com bubble burst and the housing bubble burst all around the same time between 04 and 08, and people were losing jobs and were having to ration their disposable income, and were picking and choosing what they wanted. And the fact is that for 3 hours you have an NFL, maybe 4 hours, right? An NFL game is 4 hours. How long is a golf tournament? It's 4 days.
4 days.
For anywhere, I mean, if you follow the first guy out, which I think they tee off at like 7 a.m. in the morning, they don't get done until around 6 o'clock at night. So you're almost you're almost 12, 13 hours. Well, yes,
on
correct.
Sunday.
If you and again the networks don't air all 12 hours. They don't, because they don't give a rat's ass about the guys that are teeing off at 7 a.m. Now, if it's a major and Tiger's teeing off, they'll air it. It'll be on the Golf Channel, or it'll be on
ESPN or CBS or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's ever airing the broadcast? Correct.
And when you look at the NFL, the NFL starts at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and you only get one NFL. Your team plays one game a week, so
correct.
Even if you're you can tell your wife, girlfriend, kids, hey, I need these 3 hours on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening or Monday night or Thursday night. And you can get away with that, but to sit there and watch and get your family or your friends or whoever to give you 72 or 96 hours to watch a golf tournament, especially a golf tournament that is not important, that doesn't, in the grand scheme of golf, is not really, especially a non-major event, it's hard to commit to. And if you don't watch on Saturday, if you don't watch on, to understand what's going on Friday, you have to really watch Thursday. To understand what's going on Saturday, you really need to watch Friday. To understand what's going on Sunday, you really need to watch on Saturday. And so, like with college football or college basketball or NFL football, there might be 1 game, 2 games a week that you really are tuned into. That okay, like Michigan plays at 3:30 on Saturday, so from noon till 2:45, you got me, and then until 6, maybe 7. Give me till 7, and then after 7 o'clock, I'm free. So, or if Michigan plays at noon, well, noon to 3, I'm busy. Then after 3, we can do stuff. And then if the Lions play at 1, okay, the Lions are at 1, and they'll be done about 4:30. So then after 4:30, I'm available, and it's a lot easier to get your significant other to agree to let you do stuff, to let you have those couple hours on a Sunday or on a Saturday afternoon, than it is to get them to agree to let you to watch a full golf tournament or something like that.
True.
Exactly.
Very true.
And again, the money just isn't, the average individual American just doesn't have the disposable income like they did, at the end of the 90s. When golf and the winter sports like skiing and snowboarding were so popular, when it comes to deciding what we're going to do, the NFL is going to win. The NFL gets those dollars. Now, if I'm going to spend $1,000 on an event, it's going to be an NFL event.
Correct. Well, yeah. I mean, I agree. Again, we're going to see what how Live, when they have now they have an American streaming service now. that we can watch. Well, golf fans can, or casual fans can watch it, and then the PGA obviously has CBS, Fox, ESPN, and all those as well. So PGA's got the big major networks. Correct. We could talk NASCAR. I mean, I have some NASCAR stuff. Speaking of Sports Illustrated, Lou, here's an article from Sports Illustrated. NASCAR makes changes to drivers' socks, underwear requirements. Maybe Adam knows a little bit more about this than I do.
Okay, that's weird.
Is it?
They're requiring you to wear fire-resistant undergarments now. I
get that.
It was suggested. It wasn't required. Now it is going to be required.
Well, I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's for safety precautions, so I can understand that. Yeah, I mean, there's.
I don't know how many guys weren't wearing fire socks and underwear.
I wasn't.
It's never something that's ever come up. I don't know.
Well, let's take my sock drawer up to the show and see if they are. So
right. We've come a long way from the days of just welding the doors shut and going as fast as we can.
Yes.
Long.
And I think, Bud, you said last week that Kevin Harvick was hanging it up. It says on NASCAR tournament, all signs pointed to 2023. So it looks like he's done.
As of right now, this is going to be his last season, his farewell season. We'll as we get into August and September, we'll know more for sure whether he's actually going to hang it up or not. He's mid-40s, late 40s, and
I'm over 50.
It's one of those things like when we get to Phoenix in November, it's his last Sunday, his last start, and he cranks it out and he shuts it off for the last time. He pulls on a pit road and shuts it down for the last time, and when he gets out of the car and what's he gonna do that next? He wakes up on Monday morning and there's no debrief, there's no going to the shop, and where we'll have to see how he handles it and whether he can actually walk away. It all depends on whether or not there's so many mitigating factors that go into a decision like this, whether or not he will actually truly step away, or if he'll go to part-time, or if he'll come back for another run. It depends on who they can get to replace him, whether they can get someone to replace him, or if they need him to come back for one more year, and whether or not we get to they haven't announced anything in January, and he gets bit by the bug and he wants to run one more because he's done everything. He's won a 500, he's won a championship, he's been competitive for nearly 30 years. To go fast, I mean, it's your job. It's all you've ever done. From the time he was 16 until now, he's done nothing but race cars. I mean, it's not about at the end of the day, it's about your livelihood. This is what you do to make money. This is how you paid your bills and feed your family. And when it comes to retirement, it's that camaraderie, it's that relationship that he has with his crew and the owner, and when you can do whatever you want and you have no more responsibilities, you have no more commitments, I think a lot of guys may get into that I think this is what happened with Tom Brady is he retired and he had no more structure. I think that's why he came back. It's because for so long, and I think this happens to a lot of guys that retire and then unretire, is that their sense of purpose, they no longer have a sense of purpose. And And when you've done something for so long as so many of these guys have, especially when you've been as successful as a guy like Kevin Harvick, and Monday morning rolls around and you feel good, and then that second Monday rolls around and you're like, okay, I've done everything I wanted to do. I watched all the movies, played all the video games, whatever your hobbies might be, you've done all your hobbies and you have no, you've done the get around twos and the whatchamannots, and it's January, it's January 15th, and we've been everywhere we wanted to go. We've done all the vacationing, and Daytona's about a month away now. The Clash is 2 weeks away, and I really I really miss it. We'll see what happens with Harvick here in a couple weeks or in a couple months. Maybe and then again, maybe he's ready to be done. Maybe he's accomplished. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a for sure Hall of Famer, and so he walk away with grace, and we'll see. I assign no motives to anyone, because I'm not, I haven't been doing I haven't done what any one of these guys has done at such a high level for as long as they have.
Mm-hmm.
And when you decide to hang it up, and again, your whole life has been dedicated to doing one thing for so long, when you do decide to hang it up and call it a career, you're kind of a ship without a sail, without a course. Not so much without a sail, but without a course.
Or an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, an anchor. Or a port. Like for so long, your port of call. I do this on Mondays. I get up. I do this on Tuesdays. I do this on Wednesdays. I do this on Thursdays. I do this, and now you're on Fridays I get ready to go to the track. On Saturday I'm at the track. Sunday I'm at the track. Monday I do this. And you do all those things. Now you don't have that same structure. You don't have those responsibilities that you had last week. You had all those responsibilities. Now those responsibilities are gone. And how do you cope with that sense of I guess blissfulness? A ship without a port. A ship, you can go and do anything you want, but now you have no responsibilities and you have no commitments, and it's finding a balance where you can, and especially with, if he does have a competitive season, you have to, let's say he finishes in the top 10 in points, and you have to, he's left wondering, well, if I'd have just gotten another spot at Kansas in May, I would have had 3 extra points and I would have made the Final Four. So it's all those things that come together at the end of the year that can, especially making a decision like this so early in it. We haven't even started the year, and as far as I know, he doesn't have any medical concerns like Dale Jr. And Kurt Busch. They were medically retired because they were told that it was too dangerous. If they got another concussion like that, it would be life threatening.
Yeah, it's that's the one thing. You're exactly right. I mean,
Yeah.
And I guess, but that's the question too. With Tom, is it it? Is he going to keep playing? We'll talk about more about that when we get to the NFL later on. Do you guys want to talk about hockey, baseball? Where do you guys want to go next?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a question from Yahoo.com. Is the golden age of MLB shortstops, or is it or right now, is this the golden age of shortstops, or will the trend continue? Meaning, is it going to stay? I mean, is it going to be as popular as it is for shortstops, or as the trend will continue, or is this the golden age?
No, I think the peak. I think this is the peak at the shortstops. We've had so many good, recently, but eventually it's all gonna, shift at some point. So I think now we're in the in the goalie of the shortstop era.
Actually, they're banning the shift, so
Yeah.
They are banning the shift. Well, not banning it altogether. You're only limited to how many shifts you can do per game.
Right.
That's what
well,
I was told. So I don't know.
that was
Exactly.
he said shift, so I was.
The shift.
I'll leave comedy to the Bears.
I heard earlier that Chapman is signed with the Royals. He's
yes, and you can have.
He was wildly inconsistent, wasn't he?
I mean,
Get him out of
Chapman
New York.
Believe me, he was no Rivera. I mean, really, he was so second rate.
No, you
compared to
can't compare those two. Rivera.
You can't compare him to God. I mean, that's not exactly fair. I mean, how do you follow God?
I was gonna say, like,
I mean, really.
the closer as that the closer.
The closer that all other closers are measured against.
Correct.
Look, Rivera was a rare gem. I mean,
I mean, it was a foregone conclusion. If the Yankees had a 1-run lead in the ninth, you might as well just go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with Chapman, they couldn't even hold a 2-run lead. You couldn't even.
He was wildly inconsistent from what I understand. The way I saw it was one, for 3 months he was lights out. Couldn't hit him, untouchable, and then something would happen. He'd get knocked around, and then for the next 3 months, you wouldn't even put him out there if you wouldn't put him out there to protect an 8-run lead.
Chapman, no.
Yeah.
He was so up and down. One night he'd go out there and he'd throw 103 and shut him down. The next night he couldn't find 100 and he gets knocked around the park.
Yeah. Now that's a Mr. Irrelevant right there.
Well, spring training is what, about a month and a half away, give or take.
Oh, I thought it started yesterday.
After the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl, okay. All right, so in a couple weeks from now. Pitchers and catchers report first, right? Those are the players that report first.
And the players that need help most.
The Tampa Bay Rays, their spring training facility in Port Charlotte was damaged by the hurricane that hit here late last year. They're splitting their spring training home. They're going to some games in Orlando at the Wild World of Sports Complex, where the Atlanta Braves had played a little bit, while their spring training home got a facelift. Then the other half, they'll be at Tropicana Field, where they play their regular season games. But that is what I've heard, as their spring training home in Port Charlotte was damaged, and it's unplay. They can't play there. They can't. I don't think it's that they can't play there. They don't have the stands are gone, so they can't have any fans there. And I mean, I know they don't draw a lot as for the regular season, but it is kind of cool though. I mean, to be able, let's say, if you're a Rays fan and you live in my area on a Saturday afternoon, they're playing in Orlando, you could get out of bed early and drive over and beat the traffic and be over there and spend some time there and then come home, or go to Disney or whatever while you're there, whatever you want. That gives the baseball fans a chance to be over there, but that's what I've heard. I mean, baseball is too far away for us to discuss. Who's going to win, what's going to happen. It's too far away. Spring training hasn't started yet.
February.
As we draw closer to that, we'll have that to talk about, obviously, as it draws closer.
August, maybe.
Yeah, no. Yeah, once we get through July, I think you can kind of talk about who the contenders are in July. Right. Correct.
The All-Star break.
Not spring training or the first 3 months of the season. No, you're pushing your luck there.
Mid-May.
Yeah. mid-May,
Once it gets
June.
once it gets warm and stays warm, then you can talk about you start sifting. We get into May and June. And June gets warm and and it stays warm. That's when you can start to talk about the comers and goers, and then just expect the Mets to collapse in September.
Correct. I'm watching because I'm getting ready to watch the Lightning Oilers game on ESPN. I'm watching the Maryland Michigan basketball game. Maryland's up by 4 points. 37 seconds left in the second half. They're up by 4. So it's kind of cool to see. Michigan is 10-7 overall, 4-2 in the conference. Maryland's 11-6 and 2-4 in the conference. So they've got a bad conference record. But then we'll be talking about that soon too. We got about one more month, and then we'll be March Madness-ing it.
Yeah.
The madness that is March Madness.
March Madness.
Yeah.
We can have one show that night where we just go through the whole damn bracket and pick brackets. If you want to do that, we'll just do one show.
Dedicated show to March Madness.
Just the bracket.
I had last year's champ, right?
Y'all would have to tell me how to do that bracket.
Oh, it's fun, Gerald. It's fun. It's
yes.
Unless you're betting on it, it's fun. It's fun.
It's really easy. Close your eyes and throw a dart. You'll be right 40% of the time.
Take a coin and flip it. Take a coin and flip it. Heads
just
this,
pick Oral Robert.
I don't use that joke.
But now y'all gonna have to show me how to do that.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's great.
Like I said, we'll do a show that night. It'll just be just that. We'll go through the four different divisions or the 4 locations, and then we can go through it and break it down.
1 through 16, baby.
Through 16. Yep.
What through 16?
16.
16.
64 teams start the tournament. So that's how it breaks.
There can only be one.
68, correct, Lou. That's right. 68, then it goes to
64. Yeah, I don't count you. I don't.
It goes down.
Game.
It goes down to 1 at the end of the tournament. So at the end of the tournament, there's only one champion. So
yes,
I love March Madness. I think March Madness is awesome. I really love March Madness. I think March Madness is probably one of the best sporting events of the year. I think it's top 3 for me.
Next to Christmas is my favorite time of year.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's because March Madness. The fun thing about March Madness is unlike the football is so funny. I mean, sports in general is kind of funny. You think about it. But March Madness, you can have a 16 knock off a 1.
It's happened.
It's happened one time, but it has happened. I was listening to that game, and I was beside myself. I was at work, had the game on in my ear, on the radio, and I was beside myself when 16 won. I was like, well, I'll be damned. And I think that's the great thing about the tournament. Is how often have we watched a 15 knock off a 2 or a 14 get a hold of a 3, and basketball is such a fun. I think to me, or for me, college basketball in tournament time, it's must see TV, man.
Oh, you bet.
Yep. I agree. I'm starting to get involved in the college hockey all of a sudden.
College hockey is fun.
That's a whole different bracket. That's a whole.
It's a whole nother, and they only have 16 teams that make the college good.
Correct. Yep, that is correct. And the Frozen Four is in Tampa this year, so.
Correct.
I hope to be there.
The Frozen Four is a place where you don't get a lot of things that are frozen.
No. Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm mispronouncing this. It's Winnipeg, I think, is the number 1 team. Quinnipiac. The Bobcats. They're the number 1 team. Minnesota, the Golden Gophers are number 2. Penn State is number 3. 4 is Denver University, the Pioneers. And then number 5 is the Huskies of St. Cloud.
Okay.
The reason I know that's because I've written 5 straight college articles, and I'm starting to memorize these teams that I've never in my right mind ever have heard of before. So, but you can see that the top team, they're showing why they are the top team. I know this week with the article that I have written that I'm gonna probably post tomorrow or probably later tonight when we get done with the show. One of the top, Denver had a home against Miami of Ohio, and they won back-to-back games, 7-0, 7-0 back-to-back nights. Their goaltender made 20 saves in each game, so he shut them out. 40 shots on goal, shut them out in both games. They won
120 minutes of shutout hockey.
Correct. So, and I used to, when I was younger, I used to watch college hockey on NBC every Friday night. They'd have a Notre Dame, a Michigan, somebody would be playing, and it was so fun to watch college hockey. So
yeah, I miss college hockey.
We'll see what happens if come credential time, if I can get credentials to the Frozen
Swing some
Four.
credential. Be sweet.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, college now that it's over as far as I feel. Obviously now recruiting, transfer portal, all that stuff, NIL deals, whatever you have it. College football's over now until what? June or July, August, when we start talking about it again, or the final hour of our show is strictly
spring ball,
and pro football. Finally, yeah. But we could talk about the XFL. We could talk about Lou's favorite league. What's up? UL starts in February.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Gerald.
According to the article that I read, the UL is going to set their salaries higher than the XFL, from what I've read.
Interesting.
It says USFL updates CBA for 2023 season sets higher salary than rival XFL. So the USFL is trying to draw players. So
at least they're gonna move into their own cities now. They're like last year's gimmick, they all played in the same location.
In Birmingham?
It's pretty dumb. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I have no feelings about it.
Tampa lost both their USFL and XFL teams. The Vipers are now in Orlando, and in the USFL, the Bandits, I think, went somewhere else too.
Yeah,
they're
they
not
did.
Here. Neither franchise in Tampa. So
the thing is, though, that the USFL and the XFL are going to clash with each other this season.
They are. Correct. That is correct.
That's going to be a problem.
Yep. That is
May the best subpar league win.
And then in 2024, the US XFL.
They'll combined.
The ex-USFL.
Well,
the ex-USFL when they both fold.
The last man standing wins.
Then they'll take Canadian Football League, and it'll be the CXFL.
Sounds like a radio station.
WCXL.
All 3 leagues combined.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
What rules you'll play by?
There you go. The CXL.
Well, we'll figure that out later.
This phone just went out.
WCXL. All the 80s synth pop you could want and more.
Check it out. It's saved near you. It's going to be a mess. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be a mess.
Well, again, like I said 2 years ago when they brought it back, the problem is like they're not going to get top talent.
No.
You know, who's projected number 1? Will Anderson, right? He's projected number 1 in the 2023 NFL draft.
Uh-huh.
The USFL and the XFL do not have the money. They do not have the financial backing to compete with the NFL. And we look at, let's look at Brock Purdy and what he's done in San Francisco, right? Mr. Irrelevant, last guy drafted. The USFL and the XFL do not have the money to bring in even a Brock Purdy. They're going to take the scraps off the bottom. We're not even talking about scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're talking about turning the barrel over and scraping the bottom of the barrel to find.
Yeah.
And the problem is that if anybody that they do get is going, anybody worth a damn that they do sign is not signing to stay. Unfortunately for them and leagues like theirs, they are a feeder league to the NFL. And if you show any kind of promise, the NFL is going to scoop you up. And so even if you do play a full XFL schedule, next year you're gone. You're gonna go play for real money.
Look at PJ Walker, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the name I was trying to come up with. And how do you build a league? And now he's with the Panthers. How do you build a league without sustainable talent? You know what the USFL had going for them in the 80s was their ability to sign guys like Warren Moon and Jim Kelly and Steve Young. They were able to lure talent to the USFL because the NFL was not the juggernaut that it is now. Where
Correct.
even the lowest paid guys in the NFL are still going to make practice squad players who who make a roster are going to make quadruple, if not more, than what the top stars in the XFL or USFL can make. And it's unsustainable if you can't return talent year after year upon year. Correct. Where you can build brands around top talent. Will Anderson's not going to play in the USFL. Will Levis isn't going to go play in the USFL. What was it? What's his name? The kid at Florida. Quarterback.
Kyle Trask? Oh,
no,
Anthony
not Trask.
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson is not going to sign with the USFL team. He's going to sign. He's probably a second-day pick, a third rounder, maybe a fourth. He will sign with an NFL team, and he will back up some in the NFL. He's not. You're not going to be able to lure top talent away from the NFL, and that's a death nail for a new league.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they were to somehow manage to swing a deal with and sign a Richardson, and he showed promise, he showed potential, there's going to be an NFL team desperate enough to take a chance on him, take a flyer on him, like a Houston or maybe even Denver. Denver will bring him in to back up Russ, because Russ has I know he signed that massive deal, that 5-year, $200 and some bazillion deal, but he was not the Russ. He was not the 2013, 2014 Russ that won a Super Bowl. He looked more like Rusty.
I think that had a lot to do too with the coach.
I don't disagree.
I think. Holy crap! Boston beating New York 3-0. Jeez, I don't think anybody can beat them.
No.
But I can say, kind of pridence for the Lightning. Steven Stamkos scored his 500th career goal. Actually, 500, 501, and 502 in last night's game. They're in Edmonton tonight playing the Oilers. Toronto's up 3-1 over Winnipeg. You're getting ready to, there's Florida and Montreal. In Montreal. Wow. What are the Canadians wearing? What are What are those jerseys? Jesus, they're bright baby blue.
No,
That
those
must
are
be
like
their
veterans.
jersey.
I'm not touching
Yeah,
that
those
one.
5-1. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. I'm actually going to the game on Tuesday night. The Wild are going to be here, Minnesota.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
interested to see
They're
that.
halfway decent too. Should be a fun game.
Yeah.
should be.
Oh, look at that! They retired Ryan Miller's number in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
About
Yep.
about time.
Oh, he was so
He
good.
Yeah.
deserves it.
He got shit on so much.
He did. I agree.
Yeah. Yes,
And
you're right.
the bad thing is with him is they were just so bad when he was their goaltender.
Yeah.
They were just awful.
Well, they were so good for the first 4 years. The initial run when they had uh Danny Briere and Maxim Afinogenov and Ryan Miller, they were pretty good. They were a pretty good team, and they made a couple of deep playoff runs, but they never could quite get over the hump. And then when it fell apart, it all fell apart.
Yep.
Right.
It wasn't
climbing back out of that.
right. And then there was like that scene in Blues Brothers when they get to the police station, they get out of the car and they shut the doors and the whole car falls apart.
Yuck.
Yeah,
It was
it's bad. It's
and
bad.
there were
Bad.
some bad contracts
Yep.
and some bad managerial and poor Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff got
Yep. Same
he got
thing.
he got the rough end of it, man. I mean, they were so good for like 4 years. Like they went from Hasek when Hasek left, and they had it down here in 03, and then Miller gets there in 04, and then 04 was a lockout year, or 05 was a lockout year, and they bounced back in 06 and 07, 08. They were pretty good. They made a couple of second rounds. I think they made one conference finals, if I remember right. And then it all fell apart. It just the wheels came off. Again, I've got old. Briere got old, and they just didn't have any. They had sold the farm to try to win now, and they had no one coming in to replace those guys.
Yeah.
And I watched so many. That's happened to so many teams that have come and gone. It happened. That's what the Hawks did. They sold the farm to win now, and then when guys started getting old and started wanting to to make money, they wanted some big boy contracts, and they didn't have any money to pay those guys, and they had nobody coming in to replace them, and so it all falls apart.
Yep. Well, the funny thing is the Pagulas own them. They own the Bills. Look how successful the Buffalo Bills have been the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, I think it was. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but they left Buffalo alone. So they said, hey, here's it's like Jerry Jones in Dallas. They let him have a general manager. You take care of it. And the Pagulas, for some off the wall reason, still want to mess with the Sabres. Again, Buffalo, the Sabres are getting back to their winning. It's going to take a couple years, but I don't know. Will they ever be as good as they were during Lindy Ruff and
Likely
Miller
not.
and Oksana again? Probably no.
Not
Not
anytime.
I don't. Not anytime soon.
Well, these things are cyclical, though.
Yeah.
And so it might take them another decade, and maybe it'll take longer. I don't know, but maybe this year's draft they hit any guy they find the next Crosby or the next Ovechkin or the next Gretzky, whoever, and they can get a top flight scorer who can be a 40 goal a year guy, and they can build around him, and in 2 years they're winning cups. Who knows? But
yes,
I think it was. I don't remember. I think it was Urinating Tree that was talking about the Sabres versus the Bills a couple years ago now.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the. I thought so. He was talking about the Pascagulars there. They took the hands off the Bills. They let the football people do football stuff, but they won't let the NHL people do NHL stuff.
Why not?
I don't know. Probably because they like the hockey better. They think they know hockey better than they know football. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the hockey people. I mean, the hockey people should do the NHL. I mean, it
Yeah,
makes common
that's
sense. It makes a lot of sense, right?
it. Like I said, it's very weird that you see how successful the Buffalo Bills have been. They got Josh Allen. They went
Yes.
out and got Diggs. They went out and made all these changes, and now the team is starting, to pan out. You know,
Yep.
if they leave everything alone, Buffalo will be the same way. I mean, you had Jack Eichel. I mean, he was supposed to be the next thing since sliced bread. Now he's in Vegas because he wanted to get
Yeah.
neck surgery and a certain type of surgery. They didn't want that type of surgery to be done. So they had
Right.
to trade him, and they lost, a lot
Yeah.
to get,
And there's more
for him to
sliced
go to
bread out there too.
Vegas. So,
To get Vegas to accept the deal, they had to take a.
well,
Yeah.
to me, right as of right now, I think Buffalo's actually winning that trade because I
You
forget
think
who
so?
they
Yeah.
got. I think they got
Because-
Alex Tuck back or one of the players back. He's been doing better than Eichel. Eichel didn't do very well in his
Yeah.
first season with the Knights. So
Because
But was
Aisha was with the Sabres. They weren't doing that well at all. In fact, they had some of the worst records I think in hockey history.
Yeah.
correct.
I mean, well,
Exactly
but the problem is that they wouldn't go hands off. They wouldn't let the hockey people do hockey. They were micromanaging every little decision that the hockey people were making. Well, they took the hands. They took the hands off the football, and they let the football people do football. And it's turned around. Josh Allen and Sean McDermott and Stephon Diggs and the defense has come a long way. They're a really good football team, but with the hockey team, they keep micromanaging the hockey team and contradicting the GM and the coach and everything, and they can't get it right. And they keep throwing money at it, and good money after bad.
correct.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, they for some off the wall reason they
And
like you said,
again,
they meddling with it instead of just leaving it alone.
it's going to take patience. It's not a 1 year. To turn a team around that is so far down, it's going to take some patience. It's going to take some time, and you have to have a long-term plan, and you have to have a coach with a vision, and you have to you have to be patient. And the problem with sports is that there is no patience. There is no tomorrow. It's
No.
it's what did you it's not what are you doing next. It's what are you doing after that. It's not being on the cutting edge. It's being ahead of the curve. And I think that's the problem is you look at the down franchises in all sports. This isn't just NHL. This is all sports. Is that the problem is that bad teams don't get fans unless you're the Cubs, because for some reason people turn out to Cubs games. But
Yeah.
bad teams don't draw fans, and then therefore bad teams don't draw free agents because free agents don't want to play for bad teams unless they're
Nope.
aging. You don't get a unless you have a personal connection. I think about Zach Parise and oh god, the other guy, the defenseman. His name is escaping me.
Point from Minnesota.
Brian Suter? Yeah, was it Suter?
So yeah, I
Oh,
think it was
yeah.
Suter. Yeah, they both signed huge contracts with the Wild that
Right.
they're still doing.
Yeah. Unless you have some kind of hometown advantage, it's very hard to, as a bad franchise, it's very hard to lure in top tier talent, and so you have to build within, and then in 2 or 3 years, then you can start luring in some top tier free agents, but you have to have a vision. I think about them, if we want to, as a lifelong Lions fan. I don't want to shoot myself over it. I look at Damian Woody, and Dre Bly and all these free agents that they signed, these over the hill aging stars who were just there to collect the paycheck. And when you have no culture of winning and you're not implementing winning culture and a drive to succeed, you and a coach with no vision and a GM with no vision and uninspired play. And you have when you do bring in young guys who they get in the locker room, and you have uninspired veterans who just are there to collect a paycheck, basically punching the clock, and you have a coach with no vision, and you have a GM that's out to lunch, and an ownership that doesn't give two shits. It's very hard to build a winning culture and to fight against that.
Exactly.
You're swimming upstream.
Edmonton just.
It is.
Well, I was gonna say right now, Buffalo
Let's move on.
has 45 points. They have a plus 13 goal differential. They are
I
just
see.
2 points behind the Panthers in fourth. They are a total of 29 points behind Boston for first place.
Yeah, so is everybody else.
Yeah, the closest one to them, Toronto, is 13 points behind.
I mean, so they're only 10 points behind second. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And and that's what it takes. It takes a couple of good seasons of competitive hockey with a coach that has, and it's not just hockey, it's all sports. It takes a couple of competitive seasons with a coach with a vision and a management and a GM that can lure in free agents and an ownership that's willing to pay guys to play and in a culture, a winning culture, and an atmosphere that's in a fun atmosphere that players can grow and thrive in. That's what it takes to build a winning franchise.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And again, see, that's the thing is, no, I don't think there's any sports fans, any franchise, any fan base that the word patience exists, because especially if you've been
exist.
on the losing end for so long, you're like, okay, when is this going to turn around? Like, I know there's a YouTuber out there named Melody Martin, who is a diehard Sabres, diehard. I don't know if she's posted any videos for a while, but she used to post videos all the time about her, when they make a trade and this and that. But there are, that's the thing. For those diehards out there, they want to turn it around now. They're tired of, there's always next year.
Yeah.
They're tired. They want to know when next year is here. They want to know when they're going to be in the playoffs, when they're going to compete for a possible Stanley Cup. They want to know now. They're not going to sit here and go, oh, well, there's next year. No, I'm tired of hearing the next year thing. I want to hear, this is our year. Like, we're making a run in 2024.
Sure it is.
Yeah. It gets. Especially what's incredibly frustrating is no vision. It's the utter rudderlessness of going around in circles, and you end up at the same point. 3 straight seasons of 85 points and missing the playoffs by 6 points, and you're like, well, it was next year, last year, it was next year, the year before that, and how many next years are we gonna have? We're a year older, and we're nowhere near winning a championship. And then these things are cyclical.
Correct.
And when you're a fan base and you watch your team just stink for a decade,
just let it.
When your team stinks for 2 decades, and when the old timers talk about the glory days, and you've never experienced those glory days, when you sit around and you hear the guys in their 40s and 50s talk about 20 years ago and how good they were 20 years ago, and you're like, well, when is it going to be my turn? When are we going to be good again? When is, you know, I don't have those memories of being good, you know, and you get beat down as a fan base, and when you anytime there's a glimmer of hope, you throw yourself headlong into it to only run into a wall. When the light at the end of the tunnel is a mirage, and all the end of the end of the tunnel is nothing but a brick wall, and you beat your head against it, and you go and you hear again and again and again and again, and you win the off season, you win the preseason, and you get into the regular season, you fall flat on your face year in and year out. You have to you wonder what is it going to take? And they say, you know, and management says we believe in the coach and we believe in the GM, and 3 years later they're both fired, and you're starting all over again. You're blowing it up and starting all over again. You know, you just it's
Yeah. Yep. I mean, sooner or later it has to turn around, but like I said, that's the biggest question is when is it going to turn around? You know, so for Buffalo, you know, we'll see.
and turning it around, you want to go 180, not 360.
Right back to yep, correct.
You know, and I think there's a lot of, and this isn't just hockey. This is all sports where.
Oh, how did I do 360 right back?
Yeah, we're right back to square one. 3 years later, we're right back to square one. We're firing our coach. We're firing our GM. We're starting all over. We're blowing it up. We're trading everybody off. We're gonna get younger. And we're gonna be hungry. Well, 3 years ago, we were getting younger and being hungry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Well,
No.
yeah, wait and see how the season goes. I mean, they're in a tough division with, you know, Boston, Tampa Bay, Toronto are the three top teams. I really thought this year that both Ottawa and Buffalo both would be kind of in the thick of it. I didn't say they were going to make the playoffs, but Buffalo seems to be that team. Ottawa seems to have taken a step back. Well, let's look. I mean, speaking of teams that, you know, have such a historic background, look at Montreal. They've had 2 or 3 bad years in a row. Murder, I think he finally got this is his first full season as a head coach. But they're going to have to give him time to build that team back up because it's not the same Montreal team that we all remember, you know.
Well, even though
Montreal was in the cup a couple years ago. So, yeah.
Well, when they went to that, they were so overachieving. That Montreal was such an overachiever. And you know, again, all fan bases are rabid. Otherwise, you wouldn't call them fans. And your fan is short for fanatic. And every fan base, you know, thinks that they deserve the championship year in and year out. And when you don't produce a competitive product that is fun and interesting to watch, when you're losing 4-1 weekend night in and night out, when you're losing by 4 scores, 3 scores night in and night out, fans tune out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
When you turn around, when you have 2 competitive periods, you feel real good about it going to the third. Hey, we're only down a goal, and you turn around and it's 8-2 now, and you're like, well, the wheels didn't just fall off; they were ripped off.
Yeah, all 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the spare.
2-2 and went to 8-2. I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah. And you have to you know. Then you look at other teams. You look at other teams that have built back to where they were. You look at the Colorados of the world, and you're like, well, it only took them 3 years to figure it out. Why can't we?
Exactly.
You know, it only took this team 3 years to figure it out. This team has been competitive. You know, Pittsburgh and Washington, they've been competitive for 20 years. They hit on a couple of guys and they've been competitive for 20 years. Where's our guy? When's it going to be our turn? You know, and you give up.
Yeah.
Oh, hope springs eternal, but we lost Drew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I got to make a phone call. I'll be right back.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
When you have, you know, hope springs eternal, but when you're getting kneecapped every night,
That's kind of how you.
it when your best friend is a bottle of Jack, I mean, how can you sit there, you know, and have patience, and we look, you know, you look at other teams that, you know, trust the process. What did the process get the Sixers?
Yeah. Nothing.
No, couple of second round exits and a handful of playoff appearances and a couple of second round exits, and then they had to blow it up and start over again.
Correct. Which I think, in all reality, speaking of because we can talk about the NFL now, I really honestly believe that the Buccaneers are about a year away from blowing it all up. They fired
They're
their
done.
offensive coordinator and a bunch of coaches. I wouldn't be surprised if they have another bad year next year that they'll blow it all up and start over again.
Yeah, they're in for some lean years in Tampa.
Well, and on top of that too, they're in cap hill. They're already projected to be 35 to 55 million over the cap. So they have to get underneath that cap before the new calendar NFL season starts, which I believe is March.
July 1st? March 1st?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that is when the new NFL.
Yeah, the Bucs are in trouble.
Begin. Yeah, correct. They are in trouble. Them and the are the two teams that are in cap hill.
Them and who?
The Saints.
Who's
the
that?
other team that's in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, both of them. And that's just because what happens is, as they said on local radio here in Tampa today, that they kick the can down the road. So what that means is you're just delaying cap hell from happening. So
yeah,
you win the Super Bowl. Okay, we're going to bring everybody back. And they did that. You know, they won the Super Bowl, bring everybody back.
And unfortunately, it didn't pan out.
Correct. It did not.
No. And now, again, it goes back to mortgaging the farm. They mortgaged the farm to win the championship in 2020. The same thing with the Rams, St. Louis. Oh, not St. Louis, sorry. LA. Or they mortgaged the farm to win now. And they of course, they did win. They won it all. And they got it done. But you look at there's no staying power for either Tampa or St. Louis. Why do I keep calling them St. Louis? LA.
Yes, St. Louis. They're back in St. Louis.
Yes, they haven't been in St. Louis in 10 years now. And so, you know, that was my big concern about LA going out and getting all those big name guys last year, is that they were gonna have to sell off those pieces, and those pieces were gonna be old and broken and decrepit, that, you know, they were gonna make the island of misfit toys look like, you know, Santa's workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, that's
and look out for Jacksonville. Jacksonville's going to be even next year.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I mean, look at that, for example, right? Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, was supposed to get that job. He got fired today. They went and got Doug Maroon. They won the division.
Doug Peterson.
They won a playoff game, and now they're you know, they're they're going to be, they're going up,
Well,
they're
to
going up
slaughter,
against
but
Kansas City.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those. But you know what? Who knows? Because
Mhm.
you know what? They may surprise all of us.
What
You
they
know what I
don't
mean?
know,
They
they
may
don't know.
Well, they don't know. It could hurt them.
Correct. They may surprise all of us. Oh,
Right?
when do they play Saturday or Sunday? When is the game?
Not sure. Not sure, I'm saying.
Let me see real quick. Let me see.
Wait, which
But-
game?
KC Jacksonville.
I think that's Saturday.
Sounds right. I think it's a Saturday night game, isn't it?
Nope, that's Giants in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
It's actually the afternoon game.
Okay.
Right now, Jacksonville and Kansas City. The line, guys, is
8.5.
8.5. City's 8.5. The over-under is 52.5.
Mm.
So who do you guys like in that one? KC all the way? Or do you take
I don't know.
KC
8.5.
overall, but then Jacksonville to cover?
Yeah, I like that. I like KC to win with Jacksonville to cover.
Okay. And do you take over under? Do you take under 53? Because it's
Over.
basically 53 points. Over? Okay. Yeah, the night game, guys, on Saturday is the Giants and the Eagles. The Eagles are a 7.5 point favorite. The over under is 48 in that game.
What's the weather like?
The weather is, let me see. See if it gives me the weather. It's supposed to be 44 degrees at game time.
44 and clear?
44 and clear. No snow.
Oh, it's not bad for that time of year.
That's really warm for Philly. It's going to be a nice game.
Yeah.
I like Philly. I like Philly and the points, honestly.
Okay.
And the over.
Yeah, I think this is, again, it's a division game, obviously. These two teams have already played against each other this year already. But I like Philadelphia, the points, and then I think I'll take the over. I think both teams, if you're looking at 48, so that's 24 apiece. I think both those teams can score 24 points against each other.
I think Philly can get to 48 on their own.
Right. And that could be true also. Yeah. Okay. So the Sunday games, 3 o'clock is the Bengals and the Bills.
Bills.
Yeah, the Bills are actually the underdog.
They're a home
Cincinnati's
dog?
a 5.5 favorite.
How is that possible?
Home dog under is 49. I'm sorry, my bad. Sorry, I read that incorrectly. Sorry. Buffalo's a 5.5 point favorite. My apologies. I read that incorrectly.
I thought so.
Yeah, the over under is 49.
I like Buffalo. I like Buffalo. I think Cincy can
30
cover.
in Orchard. Okay.
34 in Orchard.
33 in Orchard Park. Yep.
Any precipitation, or is it going to be clear?
Not clear.
A 95% chance of snow.
Rain, no
Yeah,
snow.
no kidding. That's it's Thursday, so that'll change.
If it's Buffalo, there's a 95% chance of snow.
In June.
How about July?
I like Buffalo. I like Cincinnati to cover. What was the
San Francisco?
Dallas and Sanford? I don't know, man.
The 49ers are a 4-point favorite with the over-under being 46 and a hook.
I'm going Dallas.
Were you going to go with anyone else?
Hush it, Adam.
Hey, why don't you come over here and make me? Put them up.
Okay.
Oh, come on now. Oh wow! Look, we're gonna have a video fight. Come on.
This will be first for the show.
Won't be the last.
The first show
No.
on TV, we're having the video. There.
Right.
Hey, this. I don't know, man. This is a toss up. I don't think 4. I think 4 is generous. I think I like Dallas.
Who else were you going to pick?
Well, Dallas was my Super Bowl, so
Eve.
I had Dallas in the Super Bowl. So
You did?
Ah,
Wow.
Gonna be 56.
I wouldn't say Cowboys Super Bowl just yet.
I said it like what 4 weeks ago
You
now.
wonder if it was.
We got to take it one game at a time there, buddy.
Yes,
Right.
yes. But it's wishful thinking.
Because I tell you right now, there's two sides to the Cowboy team.
Mm.
What side's going to show up to play the 49ers?
I like the Niners.
I
like that Niners team.
I'm gonna say something that you said in the playoff game in college, Adam. Okay, the Dallas used everything they had to beat the Buccaneers.
Yes.
I don't think so. I really don't. That the Tampa Bay didn't even show up.
Yeah, but the 49ers will.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they got bullets left in the gun. I think they got bullets left in the gun. I think they can go out there and give San Francisco a game. It's gonna be Micah Parsons versus
Nick Bosa.
McCaffrey.
No, it's gonna be Parsons versus Bosa.
Well, they don't play against each other.
Yeah, but those two are gonna be on opposite defenses, and they're gonna want to get to the quarterback the most.
Well, I think you shut down San Francisco. You have to stop Kittle and McCaffrey. Make Purdy beat you.
Yeah, but the question is, can our defense stop McCaffrey?
And I think you have to put Parsons on McCaffrey all night, and take away Kittle, and make Purdy make some throws.
So in other words, rattle his cage.
No, not even. Just drop 8, like Kurt Warner, and just take away his first read. Make him have to go to the second read and third read, and don't let him have that check down to McCaffrey. Don't give him that free 5 yards. Like
Also, this is Purdy's first playoff appearance.
So, I mean, yeah, it was his first season in the playoffs. It'll be a second playoff game
that he actually played in.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, San Francisco run Seattle right out of the building last week. So.
But then again, Seattle don't have a defense like Dallas has. So that.
No, I agree.
So
I really think
that game could go either way.
Yeah, and we'll see which Dak shows up.
Because last week against the Bucks, he was on fire.
Yeah, he looked really good against, but that Tampa defense is what it was, and that San Francisco defense is stout. That Niners defense is stout.
And the only one that's got me worried right now with the 49ers is Nick Bosa.
Right. I mean, you got to chip him on you got to get a chip. Don't let him get a free rush. And I think that the thing about it is you gotta you get a chip on him and you make him run make him run all night, and don't let him have any gas for the fourth quarter.
My two picks for defensive player of the year right now, I'm going to say it right now, is Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons. I would pick those two. I would put those two in the front run for defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that those are two good picks for defensive player of the year.
Now, if I had to vote for
anyone
him,
else that you could.
If I had to vote for him, I would walk away. I would let the other guys do it. I would
I
have to
vote
throw,
for Hutchinson.
I would have to throw one more name in there. Put Joey Bosa in there with them.
Yeah, I put Hutch up there too.
I was gonna say Hutchinson would be up in that conversation.
Yeah,
55 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 3 interceptions.
but I think he's looking at defensive rookie of the year.
I think it's Gardner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Those two right there, Hutchinson and Gardner, should be considered for the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I think Gardner. I think Aiden is NFC Rookie of the Year, and I think Such should be AFC Rookie of the Year. And they were just absolute monsters.
Are you talking about monsters? Just ask Brady about Micah Parsons. He'll tell you about Parsons. Parsons was all up in Brady's grill that night.
if Brady signs anywhere but Tampa, they have a $35 million cap hit.
Wow.
They're gonna have.
The number one team I got Brady going to, if he does not sign with the Bucs, is the Raiders.
You don't think he's gonna go back home, do you?
I just saw a tweet that said Seattle, but he mentioned that he wanted to be closer to his son. So I don't know why he'd go to San Francisco, Vegas, or Seattle when his son plays on the East Coast in Miami. So the Dolphins would make the most sense to me.
Miami.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah, but they got Tua.
Miami, Tampa.
Well,
Tua's a concussion away from his career being over.
Well,
How many concussions has he had this year? Did he have 3?
Did they actually go for 45-year-old quarterback instead of getting one in a draft?
he's got 2 concussions already. One more, I think he's done.
It's a heavy quarterback draft class.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That's the question.
We got C.J. Strauss coming out. We got
Nope.
Bryce Young.
Stroud's not coming out.
No, he said he is coming
Stroud
out.
is
No,
returning back.
oh, yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, I forgot. I thought it was the other way around. I thought he went back to Ohio.
No, he said he's going for going his senior season and declaring for the draft. So
Don't want him.
those two right
Don't
there
want
are
either one of them.
quarterbacks. You got Stetson Bennett from Georgia.
He's the one I want.
Those three right there are my top 3 picks that could possibly go in the first round.
Yeah, but the problem with the Dolphins is they went into the playoffs. They'd have to trade up to get a pick. They don't have,
No, they don't have
a
it.
top pick.
No,
No, they don't have a top first round pick. They traded away their. I think wasn't it the Tyreek deal that they sent Kansas City their first round?
Kansas City.
that move right there, that move to sending Tyreek Hill to Kansas City, I said it before and I said it and I'm going to say it again. That was the stupidest move that the Dolphins could have made.
I think so too.
The Dolphins
That was
acquired
pretty
him.
dumb.
The Chiefs are the ones who got rid of him. Yeah.
I don't know if that was.
Left.
Tyreek Hill, they can't do.
It really,
If Tua doesn't get hurt,
2-0.
they might have beat Buffalo.
But
if
that was,
if Tua doesn't get hurt, Buffalo they're moving on.
Yeah.
They look.
And one of the
I think that's what I agree with Adam. I think Tua is the reason why the Dolphins didn't get past the Bills.
Yes.
Like
it
they're out
seems
of
like
Tua.
when Tua was in there,
And Tua not been hurt with a different story.
And if Mike
Waddle
White didn't get
likes him
hurt,
in there
I
too.
think if Mike White didn't get hurt, the Jets would have been in the wild card round.
Right.
I like the Jets. I think they've done some good things. I don't know if Mike White's the long term answer, but in the short term, I think you gotta stay with him.
I would, if I was the Jets, I would go get one of those 3 quarterbacks that I named.
I wouldn't. I think that All three of them are project quarterbacks at this point.
Or if you can't get one of them, go look at a quarterback like Cooper Rush. You know, one of these free agent quarterbacks that are coming out. I think Cooper Rush. I think he would fit well with the Jets.
I like Mike White better. I think if you're I don't CJ Stroud is not NFL caliber. I don't know about Young. Will Levis is not NFL caliber, and Stetson Bennett needs 2 years before he's going to be ready. And at that point,
go get Stetson Bennett.
yeah, Bennett would be the best.
Let him sit behind Mike White. Let him learn from Mike White.
The only problem with that is that if you go and you draft a quarterback in the first round with a top pick, a top 10 pick, or a top 15 pick, is that if the current guy and you don't have a Brett Favre or a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning, if the current guy struggles at all, the fan base is clamoring for the new guy. They want the sexy pick. They want that guy. You know, the guy the future of the franchise. If Mike White struggles and Stetson Bennett is waiting in the wings, or Will Levis or Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud is waiting in the wings, you don't get the chance to develop him and let him sit on the bench because the fan base will scream for him. They will chant his name, and it's going to do nothing.
Any backup quarterback is better than Joe Flacco right now.
Well,
I'm gonna go Flacco.
So I don't know, and I think Bennett's probably the only one that's going to be available later on in the first round because the Jets are drafting 12, 15, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
I don't remember offhand.
But then again, the Cowboys, we are losing Rush to free agency if we don't re-sign him.
Right. I think the Cowboys will probably re-sign him. I think he'll probably stay in Dallas. Because we've seen that Dak has injury issues, and so, and I just don't see Cooper Rush as a starter.
And Rush is a proven backup.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Rush proven that he can win games when we need him to win games.
I think Rush is a great backup. I think he's definitely one of those guys that you can go, here's 20 plays, memorize those 20 plays, and you can put him in any game situation, and he can make things happen. But I don't know if he's an everyday starter.
Now I tell you who Dallas really needs, and that's a field goal kicker.
Yeah. It's the most underrated position in sports.
How can you? Somebody help me understand this. How can you miss four extra points in one game?
Well, see, when you run up and you kick the ball, and the ball doesn't go through the uprights, that's a missed field goal.
I know that, but do you blame the snapper, the holder, or the kicker?
You blame the holder.
The refs. It's all the refs' fault. See, if they put their arms up, then it would have been good.
Yeah, of course.
The laces were out. They would have been good.
Only on live TV, people. Only on live TV will you get this type of comedy.
Yeah.
Correct.
I apologize for nothing.
No, and it's funny. Speaking of that, I'll comment. Just thought I'd say that. So
say what?
What's that?
Right.
But yeah.
No. Looking around, I think. Well, this goes back to I can't remember his name, but he said this is like the late '80s. There was a writer who's talking about the NFL, and he's like, there are 28 teams in the league, and at the time there was only 28 teams. There are 28 teams in the league, and there are about 15 starting quarterbacks, and
yes,
and that remains true to this day. There are only about 15 starting quarterbacks in in the NFL. And then,
But there are 32 teams in the league.
and there are 32 teams, and there are only about 15 starting quarterbacks. And who else is gonna, who could be a good fit in New York is Jimmy G.
Yeah.
He's gonna be available. And then we'll have to wait and see how deep San Francisco can go. If San Francisco knocks off Dallas on Sunday, and Purdy's in the champion in the NFC Championship game against Philly or New York, that's gonna really gonna determine Trey Lance's availability, because again, like we talked about a couple weeks ago when the playoffs were getting ready to start, how do you take the keys away from a kid that's taking you all the way to the NFC Championship game and give them back to a guy that's been inconsistent at best, and now has an injury problem? It's going to get labeled as an injury problem.
Exactly.
So that's going to put Trey Lance up on the block, and so because San Francisco, because you can't have Brock Purdy in Trey Lance, because Trey Lance is a starter. He's making starter money. So you can't, and if you have two starting quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
But here,
And
Adam, let's say that Purdy gets the starting job,
right?
And you let Trey Lance go. Who would you get as a backup for Purdy? Would you re-sign Jimmy G?
No. I mean, depends on what kind of money he wants. And again, Jimmy G has the same problem as the injury bug. No, I again, the name that came to my mind was Cooper Rush. I think Cooper Rush is a great backup. I think Cooper Rush is the kind of guy you can give him 20, 25 plays, say, hey, these are the plays we need you to know, and he can execute those plays. But and when you have a quarterback when you have an injury to your starting quarterback or any starting player, everyone else steps up. Everyone else shoulders the burden. So the pressure is off a Cooper Rush to come in and he just comes in and executes, and he can lead you to, he can go 4-1, he can go 3-2 until the starter comes back. Maybe if Jimmy G goes to New York, Mike White will probably be available. He's a decent backup. Maybe you go deep in maybe Richardson, the kid out of Florida. You can bring him in and have him and get a look at him and see if he can't be a healthy backup. I don't know, because the problem is if you have two starting quarterbacks, you have no starting quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Look at Green Bay. Going on 20 years ago, when they had Favre and Rodgers, and they and Favre was getting old, and he was won't he, and so they moved on from Brett, and they went to they went with Aaron, and then and look at everywhere that Favre went after that, when he was it was a pit stop, it was a coffee, it was a cup of coffee in New York and Minnesota, and it's taken both of those teams forever to rebound. And when you bring in a veteran who's at the tail end of his career, and you get you're like, we got 2 years left. Look at Arizona when they brought in Kurt Warner, and they went to the Super Bowl and lost to Pittsburgh, and then Kurt hangs them up, and they have nothing. They have nothing to replace him with. And so when you're looking at a situation like San Francisco or Dallas or where you have Dak, or even Miami, and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has if they don't re-sign Brady, who is backing up Blaine Gabbert? Blaine Gabbert's not the answer. Kyle Trask is an unproven commodity. And so with those guys being unavailable now. And you're looking at the future. The future is yesterday. The future is yesterday, and especially in the NFL, the future is yesterday. If it's not about being on the cutting edge, it's about being ahead. It's being ahead of the cutting edge. And there are very few teams in the league that are extremely comfortable with the quarterback situation. Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City. I think those are the three teams that are incredibly comfortable. Joe Burrow, maybe Jacksonville with Trey with
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Thank you. But then again, you look at it took every ounce of it took every bullet in their gun and then some extra to come back against the Chargers. I wanted to call them San Diego, but that's not right because they're not in San Diego anymore. Go figure.
A lot of people get that mixed up.
They're a missed kick away from well, that was a valiant effort, but those 4 picks in the first half doomed us. If that kick is good, those 4 picks in the first half doomed Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And we go from one of the most epic comebacks of all time to what if we just got one of those back? We get one of those back and we kick a field goal and we got ourselves a ball game, And Justin Herbert, I think Kansas or the Chargers, LA is safe. The other LA team has incredible question marks at quarterback with Matthew
Rams.
Stafford and the Rams. Matthew Stafford and Baker Mayfield. Houston has problems because Davis Mills is not the answer. Miami again, they have issues. As Tua going to be healthy? Carolina has issues at quarterback because Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, and who was the other one? Oh yeah, Baker Mayfield. They're in turmoil. Deshaun Watson is a question mark in Cleveland. Jared Goff, I think Jared Goff's safe. I think Kirk Cousins is safe. I think Danny Dimes is safe for now, but he could be. But that's he's not sexy. He's not 40. He's not going 33 for 45 with 350 and 4 touchdowns. Let's see what else. What else is out there? I think Chicago is pretty set on Justin Fields. Let's see. Green Bay has question marks because if Aaron Rodgers doesn't re-sign, I don't think Jordan Love is the answer. I think Geno's safe in Seattle. Let's see. We're gonna way down the coast. We talked about all California teams. I know I missed a whole bunch of teams, but Philly. I think Hurts is obviously Hurts is safe in Philly. Pittsburgh. I think Pickett's got the they're gonna just you just kind of keep building around him. I like him. He's young, and Mike Tomlin's a great coach, and let's see who else. What else? Who else am I missing? Oh, Baltimore. Lamar Jackson. He's going to be. He hasn't re-signed in Baltimore. Can they get a deal done? And if they can't, where does he end up? He's a huge quandary. And then because if he doesn't re-sign in Baltimore, they have nothing. I'm sorry, but Tyler Huntley is not the answer.
No.
Let's see. Baltimore. So that's the AFC, AFC East, NFC East, AFC North. Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is safe for another year.
Yeah.
And I think Mac Jones is safe for another year. Obviously, Josh Allen ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Unless the AFC North, the NFC, yes. Oh, Houston, not Houston. Indy, the Colts. Who did they have this year? Who was their quarterback this year? Wentz. Ryan, right? I think he's. I think he's retiring. Obviously, I don't know yet, but I don't think he'll be back in Indy next year. And then can Tannehill come back and stay healthy? Because Malik Willis, he needs a lot of help. I just didn't see it from him this year. I didn't see him as the long-term future of Tennessee. We talked about Tampa. Jameis Winston in New Orleans. I think he'll get another year in New Orleans. Desmond Ridder is an unknown quantity. So we talked about Carolina and their lack of anything. They need everything. So I could see them drafting Will Levis. He's a sexy pick because I don't think, I could see them because I think Houston will probably go Stroud or Stroud or Young because the Bears have number one. I think they'll take Anderson number one overall. Okay, I think that's the NFC. NFC South, AFC South is done. The West, Denver's safe. I don't see Wilson going anywhere.
Right.
Mahomes isn't going. They signed him to a 10-year deal like 2 years ago, so he isn't going anywhere. Who else is out in the West? Kansas, the Chargers. Herbert's not going anywhere. And who's the last? Oh, Oakland. Oakland is Oakland is an unknown commodity. Are they going to get Brady? Or are they going to get somebody in the draft? We don't know yet. So I think that's pretty much everybody. I think that's all 32. I think I covered them all.
I think so too.
Quick, concise, and
with that, guys, anybody else have anything they want to add?
That's about it.
Okay.
Buy the Roku channel.
Yes. What is it? Was it the Try 99 TV app? Isn't that what we're on? Something like that.
That was it.
The sponsored by Garrett's Carrots and creatingzenspaces.com. I am this Bradley Walker. Peace. And
we'll see you in 2 weeks.
And don't forget my show on Saturday. It is Eastern time. Same number as this one. Good night.
Good night and good luck.
Correct.
Princeton.
Thanks for joining the show. We love and appreciate you all for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We give thanks to the men and women of the armed services and first responders.
All right. Yep.
This has been an In the Zone Sports Talk Radio Network LLC production with the sports nerd Bradley Walker and co-host Adam Mangold. Be sure to download the Try 99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support.
Right, great. Send it.
Thanks for joining the show. We love and appreciate you all for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We give thanks to the men and women